have engineers, or have we already done the due diligence work now that is required to show us what we need to do, or is that still somewhat unknown? Because there still seems to be quite a few unknowns with this about what actually needs to happen. So when can we expect to hear back to find out exactly what will happen? And then I guess we'll move forward and get, we'll ask for a request for an expression of interest from, and I guess at some stage it will come to my committee.
Yep.
But then I would want to see that then signed off by this committee. So I would want to see a recommendation from the tenders and procurement to this committee before it's signed off. I think this is so important.
Yes.
It wouldn't just be a small committee that would sign it off.
I think that's what's in the report. I think, Dick, that's what will happen. It'll go to you and then come back here.
So it will come here as a recommendation from the tenders and procurement committee. That's the way I would see it working from now on.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, because this is not, you know, and I take on what George just said. This is not going to be cheap by the looks of things. It's, you know, I think it's going to be even more than I feared it was going to cost. And look, we just got to, you know, we have to suck it and see. But I do go along with what Councillor Darby is saying. We need to see if there is some somebody that will actually that has some responsibility for this. This is huge. This is, you know, this is 20% of the cost of the building as we've purchased it and done it up. That's what I would estimate it to be, around about 20% of what we've now sunk into this building.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And look,
grim.
just,
it's grim, quite frankly.
Yes, and just through the chair, look, no, fundamentally you have two committees involved here where they have their own responsibility. So this committee will be looking at the financial decision. Is that the right thing to do? Have we actually undertaken that in the right, robust way? And it definitely comes to your committee to actually make sure that we're actually going to procure the supplies, the materials, and the actual project is going to be undertaken in the right procurement way. So, you know, there's two distinct roles to play there, and we'll definitely follow both.
And there is the expertise here to do this job, or are we going to be looking, you know, we're going to be casting our net overseas as well?
Yeah, well, I may just get Andrew to comment briefly, but okay. Yeah, I mean, Andrew's got a lot of experience in project managing these sorts of things, and he's got a lot of connections. He's already built the relationships with the relevant experts that are aware of this building itself to initiate the project. But yeah, maybe you want to briefly comment on that, Andrew?
Yeah, sure. All of the people involved in this process will be from New Zealand. We may need to take some supply materials from abroad because our manufacturing base is sadly not what it might be, but it would only be a relatively small percentage and would then be manufactured into something useful.
And, you know, it's never a good look to have cladding and scaffolding and so forth around a building which should be easily accessible to the public. Is there any estimation on what the period of time might be that we have this building in that state?
Potentially about 18 months, but
18 months.
But we're not anticipating that we cover the entire building with scaffold, so we won't have such a terrible eyesore.
I guess I'm referring not so much to maybe some of the upper stories of the building, but the actual ground level of the building. Right now, it looks like Starlag 13 in some areas.
So yeah, through the chair. So there's really two stages. The immediate work that was done, the fencing one, was just to limit access to the at-risk areas, so to channel people through the main corridors into the building. Once the working platform was done, which is sort of a month or 6 weeks work, then we can take away that on the ground floor, the very visible piece. You may see some supports just to support the podium level. There may be some structure, you know, underneath there, just some support there, but the fencing will go quite quickly.
So the building is now valued, the latest CV on it was $133 million. We've spent $157 million on it so far.
Yep, that's for rating purposes, which is going to be different. So the current valuation we have in our books right now for building land is $150 million, and that was as at 2014. So it's due for a revaluation next year as part of our ongoing program. So you're $150 million 2 years ago in the Auckland market.
Okay, I've got Mike, Ross, Sharon and Alf. I'm looking at the, and Kathy. I'm looking at the time. We do have another, can I please stop? Can I just listen for a minute? We do have another meeting at 2 o'clock with the local chairs. There is lunch downstairs. We do actually have another 4 items on the agenda, including the budget update and including the confidential items. So if you just wouldn't mind bearing that in mind, we are actually approving or not approving, bringing forward a budget to do some enabling works. Councillor Lee.
Yes, thank you very much for this. Just to, so I can understand, the original purchase 104, I understand that, and then the direct fit out 25 million, and then additional works 28 million cost to date. What are the additional works, and what's the difference between additional works and fit out?
Oh, okay, yeah. Look, very briefly, I mentioned earlier on when the slide was up, this was the additional works with things that were going to occur regardless of where we were located. So it was part of our workspace rollout. We've gone to a mobile arrangement. We've actually changed it to a completely open plan, which significantly reduced our footprint within buildings. Those were things that were going to occur regardless of where we were based. It also included things like the LED lighting implemented. It wasn't part of the original plan that had to occur to make the building fit for purpose. But we've now achieved significant operational savings by putting LEDs lights throughout. And also some of the planned works to occur later, we actually did at the same time as the fit out for things like when you're accessing the ventilation, the services. When you were removing ceiling panels to do the fit out, it made sense to do some of those other works sooner rather than later, just literally since you had people there and things were exposed.
In terms of the work on the columns, is that the cladding on the columns, or the columns, the degradation on the columns, is that the cladding or the columns?
Yeah, no, sorry if that's not clear. That's on the, it's always on the cladding. Yeah.
Okay, can I ask, around the ground floor, there's the barriers and all the rest of it, but what about further up the building? I mean, if something falls off on the ground floor, it's not going to cause that much of a problem, but if it comes down from 26th floor, for instance, so is the ground floor and the cladding in the same condition as higher up, or what?
Oh no, the reason we're talking about the actual the working platform is for anything falling from height, that'll stop it.
So okay, there's like a little skirt around. Okay.
Yeah, so we'll stop it at that point.
Madam Chair, we don't want to go over old ground. I never supported this. I was surprised that it went ahead because there was a majority for it, but only a narrow one. I thought, well, that's not going to go ahead with such a narrow majority, but sure enough, it did. There's a lot of talk about asset sales in this organisation, selling everything. That's not nailed down, but I would put my hand up to promote this as a potential asset sale if we can make some money out of it, at least not lose money, because it is ideal for the private sector, and if it was fit for purpose, I'm sure we could get a reasonable price, especially with the CRL, some uplift of value there. But I think a strategic mistake was made on 2 levels: financial level in buying this building, but also in moving away from the civic square. We actually have compromised the civic heart of Auckland in doing it. I think the best approach for the future is to sell it to the private sector, move back to the civic building, and if extra accommodation is needed, do some development on the land we owned around the civic square, and bring, restore, if you like, the civic purpose of the centre of Auckland. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Clobe.
I think we've probably done quite well, and we're on the right side of the ledger. I'm sure the value of the building is probably north of 200 million at the moment, and which I believe is the case, and we've certainly made significant operational savings. So I think we're well ahead overall on the ledger. But anyway, maybe Sue could just report that, because I would certainly be looking at selling this building too, but rather than building something else like Councillor Lee has chosen and refurbishing the Civic, I mean, with negative central bank interest rates in certain countries around the world now, there is money sloshing around that's willing to come and buy a building and then enter into a very long-term lease where we might get incredibly good terms for that lease that are going to save us a lot more money long-term. We cash bank the money from the building, but we get a damn good lease out of it.
Can I just call a point of order?
Sue could just
Yes,
Point of order.
Yes.
We've talked about this, and we're going to be talking about this during our asset sales review. That's exactly the plan we've come up with. I understand we're talking about the cladding and how we're dealing with this.
Yes, you're right.
We've traversed too many subjects, so my point of order is that this is not material to the exact point today, given that we're under a time
Oh,
constraint.
you are correct, actually, and
Totally correct. I was just trying to be supportive of the
I
staff.
know, I know, but, and as I said, we've got another, it's the item we didn't get to yesterday, I apologise, but we will be having another workshop, which that will come up. Yes, Councillor Stewart, talking to the recommendation.
All right, well, I just want to, my name and Councillor Wood's name was mentioned before, so
Councillors.
just about the reason that I supported.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, no, point of order, the same point of order
Same
that's
point of
just
order.
been
It is
raised.
now 5
Relevance.
past 1, and I have a local board member
Okay,
who's
well,
been sitting here all morning.
All right, well, the concern that I have with the building, okay, all right, so we'll change this topic, is that, yes, the cladding, there is a problem with the cladding, and the reason we moved from the Civic building was because there was a problem of asbestos, and there was also...
No, there wasn't.
We were told that it was also an earthquake risk, and the reason that I supported the move to there was because there had been 115 people just a short time before we actually approved moving there that had been killed in the CTV building, and the information that we were given, whether it was good information or bad information from the council officers, that was the information we were given, and the reason we moved from that building to this building here was a safety issue. Okay, well, I'm having to try and, since I keep getting shut up, but...
No, it's all right. It's just that I am really conscious that I've got 4 or 5 more things to talk about, and I'm sure you want lunch, and we've got local boards coming in at 2 o'clock. So we are talking about approving the bringing forward of the budget totalling 4.7 million from 2017 to 2025.
I think for a safety issue, I think we do have to support the money that is being needed, and that was the reason that I supported the move to that building there, was because we were told that building was a safety issue.
Thank you. Councillor Filipaina, is it very quick?
Very quickly, the sooner we get on with the job, the better.
Thank you.
And because not everybody looks at the Civic building as their building.
Thank you.
Manukau City's got our own.
Yep.
So not all of us look at the Civic building as the building.
Thank you. Stating the obvious for all of us. Thank you. Councillor Casey.
Yay. Kevin, page 111, paragraph 22, I am really hurt. Health and safety for staff, tenants and the public has been at the forefront of the actions to date. What about councillors?
Well, maybe they don't like us very much because of our behaviour at times.
We're self-employed.
26th floor and the mayor?
Do you like the official response or the other?
No.
I think that's probably very telling, actually. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you. My apologies, Kay. Can we please hear from you? It would be really nice. Councillors, while Kay's coming up, there's two suggestions. One, we hear from Kay and then break for lunch and come back and do the items, or we hear from Kay and do the items. Which would you prefer?
Do the items.
Do the items. Do the items. Everyone, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Look, I appreciate that you've had quite serious matters on your table